Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, TV, film, sports, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor, stars in a lot of TV, film, and also video games as well. But some of the notable shows he's been in would be Nurses. He's been in Bad Blood, The Moodies. We're with Tristan D. Lalla. Tristan, welcome to Popternative, man.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Whether you're an actor, writer, director, musician, storytellers, you're all storytellers. When did Tristan decide he wanted to become a storyteller?
I've been doing this since I was literally, my family is a family of musicians and artists and performers. So since I was a kid, I've been involved in performing and been on stage. When I was 6 years old, I saw a play and I saw someone that looked like me on stage, and I knew from then that I wanted to do this. And if he could do it, I could do it. And I just literally found ways to put one foot in front of the other and pursue it my whole life. In high school, I was part of the drama club and did some plays and performing arts and the variety shows. And that led right to theater school in college. I went to Dawson College, professional theater program in Montreal. And right out of school, I got with my agent, and I've been working ever since.
Fellow Dawson College alumni over here, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Simcom, man. Shout out to a lot of people that I went to school with in that program. Jesse Camacho,
yes,
Erica Deutschman, Alex LaRouche. I went to school with all these people.
Those are all good friends of mine. I did a movie with all three of those people.
There was a Happy Slapping. Yeah. Dude, okay. We're going to talk about that because that was one of the first movies that was filmed on an iPhone, was it not?
It was the first movie completely shot on an iPhone. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember that was the talk of the town. I think it was a year or two after I kind of graduated with them, and then I saw everything on social media, and it was pretty crazy. And Erica's in Hallmark Christmas movies now.
She's killing it.
And Alex was in Letterkenny.
And Degrassi.
And Jesse has Lock and Key coming out.
That's right,
soon.
on Netflix, yeah.
It's just amazing. And this interview's about you, but shout out to those three people.
No, please. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Everybody's killing it, so... Shout out to everybody.
It's a good time for the industry right now, man. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of opportunities for actors like yourself.
Absolutely. I find, especially with streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and all these things, there's so many ways to create content and so many different, you can look at all the Golden Globe and those award nominations, most of the awards and the nominations are going to things that don't have a network on TV now. So there's so many avenues now to make shows.
Absolutely. You say it in other interviews, you've been fortunate to work in a lot of different kind of fields, different mediums of content. You've worked in TV, you worked in film, you've also worked in video games, which is amazing, man. That's awesome. Maybe this question might be who's your favorite kid, but is there one between the three that you like to work on more than others?
It depends on the season, and it depends on the week. It depends on the day, really. But I would say, so we're always taught this: you make your living on camera, you make your reputation on stage. So, financially, it's great to be on a TV show or in a movie or do a video game. And in the theater, which is my base, I've done over 70 plays and musicals in my life. I've lived on stage, and I've gotten some awards for my work on stage. But you get what you make on camera, you can make. When you make for a day or two on camera, you make for a month in the theater, right? So it balances out work-wise, because if you can't hone your craft and your art on stage, you can't really do it on camera. Well, you can, but you got to be. Anyway, I won't say that. Some people can, some people can't. So yeah, it definitely takes chops to not just be famous, but to be an actor and to be an artist.
I find it fun. So it's interesting because I don't know if I'm opening a can of worms for you over here, but I just I just find it interesting.
I like worms, gummy worms. Worms are cool.
Yeah, no, but there's a lot of people out there that I know that are on TV shows and are working, but they're also working on as an extra on shows or working as an assistant on a production, right? And
Right.
they're not kind of like shamed of that, you know what I mean? Because it's how they're making a
Absolutely. Yeah.
living. But what do you think? Like, there's some people that like, do you think that people are like, there's kind of a stigma attached to doing extra work? Like, oh, I want to be on the camera. Like, I mean, it's a job. You got to put
It
food
is
on
a
the
job. Look,
table.
I'll say this: when it comes to paying your bills and doing what you got to do for your household, there's no shame in your game. Like what you got to do to put food on your table is your business.
Yeah.
Like I would never shame anybody for providing for their household the way they have to. That being said, when you do background work, sometimes it's harder to move ahead with principal roles and speaking roles and stuff like that and get auditions for. But it's possible. Anything it happens all the time. People get opportunities a lot of different ways, but it is more difficult sometimes.
You mentioned, uh, so you're from Montreal. We mentioned that
Yeah,
before, but you like kind of worked all over the place,
yeah,
which is awesome. Specifically in Montreal, though, we talked about Dawson College and the theater program is amazing, the SynCom program, and there's a lot of talent that's come out of Montreal. In your opinion, what do you kind of think is like what's going on in Montreal that's making it so successful and these amazing actors are coming specifically from Montreal? Is it the school? Is it like kind of where they are, like the kind of Eurocentric aspect of Montreal?
yeah. I think it's a mix of a lot of productions that come to shoot here from Hollywood specifically, or from the states, from stateside. There's a big appeal to shoot in Montreal. One, for tax credits, but two, also the city can look like every other city in the world. So there's a big Eurocentric appeal. There's a big international appeal about shooting in Montreal. There's a romantic idea that people have about coming here. Like Just for Laughs is a huge festival that is based here. But like, the comics that come up here, they call it the Montreal Comedy Festival. And it's like, it's not the Montreal, it's yes, it's from Montreal, but it is, it's Just for Laughs. So it's
Yeah.
it's its own little world that starts huge careers. So there's a romanticized idea about what Montreal can do. And yeah, I think it is there's a lot of love here when it comes to just being here and making art here that people aspire to.
The amount of shows and the amount of like content like out there right now, it's like you can't even keep track. But that's kind of a good thing too for
Yep.
guys like yourself that are looking for a role here and trying to do that. You know, a lot of people had on the show that talk about competition and everything. No, like you're all friends. You know what I mean? Like kind of going. Do you feel like though there's that kind of like competition between people sometimes because there's so many more roles out there? Like maybe it's getting saturated. Have you ever thought about that?
There, I'm gonna sound like the annoying optimist because that's what I am in all of my circles of friends. But I think there's enough for everybody to go
No,
around,
I agree, dude.
and I'm a firm believer of there's no competition because there is no competition. So like I can do what I can do, and a lot of people can't do what I can do, and I can't do what a lot of other people can do, but I know that I can do what I can do.
Mhm.
And so once I show up and I do what I got to do, I will never try to covet what someone else has because what's for me is for me, and what's not is not, and I'm not gonna ever be jealous of somebody else because everybody's allowed to win, and there's a lot out here for everybody to win. Yeah,
Mhm.
I believe that
No,
wholeheartedly.
absolutely. We're going to talk specifically about a show that you recently starred on, and that's getting a lot of buzz around Canada, and it's on Global right now. We're going to talk about Nurses.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that. Talk a
thank
little
you.
bit about Nurses, man. It's a cool, hot new show on TV
It
right
is.
now.
Yeah, like I find so Nurses, for those who haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It's on Global TV, and E1 is the co-producer, all Global and E1. So Nurses takes place at St. Mary's Hospital in Toronto, a fake hospital in Toronto. It's a 1 hour drama on TV Monday nights at 8 o'clock and Friday nights at 9. They play the same episode. So I played Damien, who is the head charge nurse at the hospital. He's kind of a hard ass. He's kind of one of the comedic reliefs in many ways. He has a big heart, but he's can I curse on this?
Um,
I won't. He's a bad mother lover.
yeah.
He like he does a lot of yelling and a lot of fixing of problems. But I like to think of him like Gordon Ramsay meets, Mother Bear or something. Like
Sounds a
he's,
little bit like Lewis Litt on Suits a little bit.
yep, yep,
Based on what you're talking about.
totally, totally. He's the character of Damien. He has a military background, so he he was overseas for a long time doing stuff in Afghanistan, and when he left the Canadian military armed forces, he decided to continue his work not in the field as a field medic, but at a hospital. And so that's where his rigidity and his strictness comes from. So he saves lives, and there's no gray area for him about how to do that. And so with these 5 rookie nurses on the show who are thrown into this brand new life at this huge emergency room, things have to flow a certain way, otherwise people die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy, and Canada has, like, there's been so many good shows like of the drama genre from Canada. I loved Rookie Blue. I don't know if
Yeah.
like that was a great one.
So these are the same producers as Rookie Blue who
Exactly.
make
So
Nurses.
yeah.
That's
So
probably why you like it.
well, that's what I was kind of going through. You're stealing my notes here.
Sorry, man. Go for it.
No,
Ladies and
no.
gentlemen, Petey Beats, go for it.
No. But like, I'm just saying. I mean, from you're an actor, you're on the screen, but from the production aspect of behind the scenes, right? It doesn't, like, when people have, like, the makers of Rookie Blue go ahead and they want to make Nurses, they kind of have that formula that's kind of already set that made Rookie Blue successful. So obviously it's going to be a bit of a different experience for them because they're working with different actors and the different, like, scenery or different story, but they have that formula. As an actor, do you have a formula in terms of auditioning or what you kind of can provide on screen?
Yes and no. An audition is an audition, be it for theater or TV, film, video games. Um, Good work is good work. That being said, every story is different, and how every character needs to be approached is different because every script is different. So for me, the script is always the Bible. You start with that. All the clues are there, and if they're not, you fill in the blanks with stuff that makes sense for the story and for the character. So yeah, for Nurses, for instance, the formula is there of how these rookies might be thrown into this already existing machine, but then there's lots of free space of, okay, how do you season that thing? How do you put your own Tristan D Lalla thing on it so that it's my own flavor that no one else can do? So yeah, there's definitely a way of prepping, but there's also a way of making it innovative every time so that it's fresh.
Absolutely. I want to know what you think about, when you talk about the promotion of shows and promote like getting people to watch shows, right? Because there's so many amazing shows out there and there's so much content out there, and because we're seeing Canadians, killing it in the game right now and
Yeah.
going and got a bunch of show. Nurses have the opportunity right now to be like starring, amazing upcoming young actors and actresses from shows like Riverdale and Suits, you know what I mean? What do
Right.
you kind of think about that? Because I find it important because you kind of want people to kind of watch the show, right? So you want to kind of leverage that. But what do actors think about kind of leveraging something they did 6 years ago to kind of promote a new project? Because it was 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, I think it's really smart when the crossover happens and the cross pollination happens, because you have people, Tiara, who's the lead on Nurses, or one of the leads rather on Nurses, who plays Grace. She's on Riverdale, like you said, and she has a huge fan base in Italy and Brazil, and Nurses currently doesn't air in those countries, but they're all watching it somehow because
Yeah.
anything she touches, they look for. And Jordan, who was on Suits, and Sandy, who was on Grey's Anatomy, and Natasha, who was in all these horror movies, and there's and Donald, who's I shouldn't say what he just booked because I don't know if I can say that, but
And you, who was in 21 Thunder.
I'm in
Right?
21 Thunder, and I played the lead in 3 Assassin's Creed games. There's Adewale right there, and all this stuff. Like there's every other project that we've touched kind of brings with it the fan base of that thing. And so now when we assemble on something like Nurses, it's like, oh, and then all of these other pots are being stirred so that this new fan base is being created with people who have support and love for not just those characters that we played, but for us in our careers as they evolve. Like Nicola, who plays Dr. Vanks on the show, like she's on every Canadian show right now. She's killing it. She's on Corner, she's on October Faction, and she's on Nurses. It's like there's a lot of great crossover.
And October
happening.
Faction is a Canadian show on Netflix, though, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
But it's Canadian, right? Like it's a Canadian production.
I mean, it's
as
shot
far
in
as you
Toronto.
know?
I don't know if it's
Okay.
Canadian, but it's definitely shot in Toronto.
Okay.
But all that being said, like there's so many ways that the cross pollination, I think, is good for a thing. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about Assassin's Creed. This
I mean,
is
if we have to,
supposed to
it's
be
fine.
a nurse's interview, and you got the whole
absolutely.
backdrop. That's amazing, though, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, success on that. I'm kind of getting lucky with a lot of guests from the video game industry. I had John St. John, who voiced Duke Nukem, on my show.
Of course, yeah.
I have not released that yet, but that was pretty fun, man, to hear
Spoiler
about
alert.
that. But
Yeah.
and Roger Clark in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
He's been on the show, and that was pretty cool because I got to not just talk about him doing a voice. He's like, you guys are acting. You know what I mean? A lot of them are like the full suits. What was your experience like on Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, similar to those guys, like full performance capture in the mocap suit, not just voice, but the full every part of the performance you see is me. So I play in 8 of the Assassin's Creed games. In 3 of those 8, I play Adewale. These two, there's the Lego guy and Todd McFarlane, action figure, not doll, action figure. He's a doll. He's a pretty doll. I love him. And in the other games, I play Taharka in Assassin's Creed Origins. I play Agate in Assassin's Creed Liberation. I play Juamo in Assassin's Creed Pirates, and some other stuff in some of the other AC games. And I've done about 46 games in total to date.
Wow.
I've worked on all the Far Cry games, all the Watchdog games, all the Divisions, all of the, like most things Ubisoft, they kind of keep the family close, which is
it's
great.
Montreal, right?
Yeah. Like if they like you, they kind of keep you in the pot. And I have to audition like everybody else, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but they know me up in there, so I love UB. Shout out to Ubisoft.
So is that like a misconception of the industry that people just assume that some of even the biggest kind of actors and actresses, they still don't have to audition? They still have to audition.
I mean, some of them don't. Like I doubt people are asking Roger Craig Smith to audition for stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does, just because there's a formality to it, and it's not just favorites. It's we want to make sure we have the right talent for the right voice, type of thing. But when you're Batman, I'm pretty sure you're offered that. You're not just but guys like Elias Tufexis and these guys, like their voices are so incredible. I would doubt if they're auditioning for small things at this point, but yeah, there's a great, to answer your question, I don't think I did, but stuff like the Assassin's Creed franchise, being part of that is such an amazing journey.
Yep.
Because even in the beginning, I thought it was something really small that you do the audition, they don't tell you what it is really, and then you get in the room and they tell you all the details, and you're like, oh, this is like a thing, and then that thing could last for 2 months or for 9 years.
A thing. I like that.
It's like a thing. Like some things are just a thing. Oh, this is a thing. Do the thing. But
Yeah.
a thing is like, oh, it's like you get to go to Comic-Cons and you get a doll made of you, and people send you stuff. And
That doll, you keep putting it back to that doll. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it straight.
no, he's great. He comes with all kinds of different swords and the hidden blades and stuff. So
The Comic-Con stuff, that sphere, that atmosphere, that world is nuts.
it is. I've only done like 3 and 3 littler ones, but there's a group on Twitter daily in the UK especially who they're always trying to round up all of the AC actors and voice actors to get us at all the conventions, and I hope one day that wave takes off, because like we're all on board and we all kind of know each other and talk to each other, but there's something very humbling about the conventions, that you realize it's not just a game, it's not just press X and whatever. Like people actually, it sounds pretentious, I'm sorry, but not really. Like these things can actually change people's lives. People have made full careers about their love of the fandom of AC, and
dude,
you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
100%. And the convention stories you hear, like I had, Miltos Romelu, who played Serial Forel Game of Thrones on, and he
Yeah.
talked about how like the Not Today and all that stuff, like people have that like
Iconic.
tattooed on them.
Yes,
and,
iconic.
like, yeah.
Absolutely. And like I'm a big nerd myself and gamer my whole life. And like, I go to Comic Cons, and I used to bring my nephews and stuff to Comic Cons, and my nephews are big fans of like Mario Brothers. And when I stood in line with them to meet the guy who does the voice of Mario, and they were like trembling and like, oh my God, like, can he sign all this? I'm like,
Is that Charles, eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, all this costs money, right? but I didn't mind, because I'm like, I could see like what it does for them inside to make it real, to connect the thing and be like, oh, that's the guy who does this, and if he does this, maybe I can do this too. Like there's a big value in making things real, especially for kids.
And I think geek and nerd culture, I don't think it ever left. I think it's always been around. However, I will tell you,
Totally.
I'm 28, and my group of friends, right? We don't go like out drinking or like, partying. We stay in and play video games and play board games. You know what I mean? Like that's
Totally.
like what we do. You know what I mean?
Totally. It's real. Like there's so much to be understood and respected about the different types of connections you can make with people, not just yes, of course, in person, but like online. And what you're doing right now is maybe 15 years ago this could have never happened.
No.
You know what I mean? Not just technologically, but just in terms of the wave of things. And now it's like,
Half
hey,
my
you wanna
guests
do this
don't.
thing?
Half my guests sometimes don't even realize that I'm from Canada when they're interviewing me.
Right. And that's both a good thing and a but there's something to be said about, the internet is so accessible.
Yeah.
If you have a thing that makes a wave like Epic Mealtime or For Y'all Entertainment or whatever it is, all these guys are from Canada and people don't realize it. And then bam, you turn out to be Drake. And then it's like, oh yeah, he's Canadian. Doesn't
Do you
matter.
know any of the Epic Mealtime guys?
I do. I know Harley. Yeah.
Did you know Adam Sands, Gross guy?
No, I know Tyler and I know Harley.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from the West Island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably know those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Montreal name drops on this podcast.
For sure.
No, it's been good. Tristan, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Pleasure. If anybody watching this is part of something that's creating the Circle Canada, I'm interested to host that.
You said you wouldn't want to. Oh, the host. Okay, the
Yes.
host.
Yeah, I can't be on the show, but I would love to host. Like, I think Michelle Buteau did a great job on the Circle as a host.
Did you watch that whole thing?
Of course. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
When I saw you had Sammy, shout out to Sammy if you see this. What's up? I was like, wow, that's so cool, because I wanted her to win like bad, because she was like the most.
She's probably one of the most
consistent,
consistent.
and like just like real people in the house. And I'm like, okay, why don't? But it's such a mind that show, because you don't really know who you're talking to, but it's a good social experiment.
She seems like one of the busiest people like I've ever seen in the world right now. Like it's nuts.
Because everybody recognizes real. They all recognize, oh, she is who she really was. She's not just trying to put on a thing. Joey, congrats, whatever. But I was team Sammy. I was team Sammy and team Karen for sure. Shubi was like, okay, whatever.
She won the 10. It was so funny because when I had her on, some behind the scenes, we were kind of like figuring out when I should post our interview, right? Like the timing. And it was a lot, I would say complicated, but it was a lot more strategic than you thought. Right? Because we wanted to kind of make it kind of a little bit before, the fans' choice, because 10K is on the line, you know what I mean? So that's another thing too. People don't realize a lot of it's a lot of planning, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that episode's taken off. It's already at like 5,000 views. It's crazy, man.
And it should be strategic, because that's how momentum is built. You can't just like, inundate people with stuff. Like, you got to be strategic about it sometimes.
So we're gonna be strategic afterwards and figure out when we're gonna put this up for all our viewers.
And Big Brother Canada, get your boy in the house.
Host.
There's a global show. There's another show on global. It's kind of synergy. Just put it together.
You started this whole thing about like people would not like the fact if I went on the reality shows.
But maybe not to be a contestant. Maybe just something else.
No,
I'm not trying to take Arissa's job, because she's great. But maybe a special guest in the house or something. So Make it happen, Canada and the
Just
world.
like a big voiceover, like Big Brother Canada house.
Big Brother Canada introduces PDBs. Like, and you end up in the house. You want to be on the show, right?
Maybe that'd be cool. Let's do it together.
Apply.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing this season? I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
Montreal?
No, they're doing like everything is like big and oversized.
Ah.
Yeah, so
I didn't realize you were a big reality show buff.
huge.
Well,
Survivor is God.
I've had people from The Challenge. I've had people from Real World. I've had people from The Bachelor, Bachelorette on my show. Like,
See, The Bachelor's nasty. That's just nasty.
Well, I've had them all on. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I had Josh Martinez who won Big Brother.
Oh yeah.
And Ramses and Mark and Elena and all them. And
Ramsey's left too soon. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But where
I
can people
love.
follow you?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
can
love
people
Big Brother.
follow you on social media?
On social media, on Twitter and Instagram, you can catch me at TD Lalla, TDLALLA. That's my last name. On Facebook, put in my name and you'll find me. And yeah, I appreciate your time. Thanks for the conversation.
No, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Congrats on the success of Nurses. Congrats
Thank
on
you.
You were also, we didn't mention it, but shout out to Jay Baruchel. You were on a couple episodes of the Moody's on Fox too.
Oh yeah, and go watch Long Shot. I'm in Long Shot with Seth Rogen, Charlize Theron. Came out last year. It's on Amazon Prime, I think. All that stuff. Just Google.
Hashtag get Tristan on Big Brother Canada.
Yeah, man.
No, seriously. Well, this has
Much
been
respect.
Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to check out past episodes. Like Tristan mentioned, we had Sammy from The Circle on Netflix on, so be sure to watch that and check that out. Until next time, this is Tristan D, Lalla, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.